Hi, this is John Bucciarelli, and the game I'm submitting to BostonFig is my game Burned. It's a 2 to 5 player cooking game, and it's my take on the show Chopped. So you're trying to survive round by round and get to the end, and if you do, you win. Now, each player gets 5 colored dice, three 20-second sand timers, and a cup to help roll their dice. Um, Now, when the round starts, the game's divided up into rounds. You flip the 2-minute sand timer. That's the timer for the round. And then all players start rolling their dice as quick as they can over and over while setting aside dice that they want to keep. And they keep doing that until they match one of the four piles that are out here. Number of piles equals the number of players playing plus 2. So say I rolled 4 sixes. I can put that here. The dice are acting as your utensils, so preparing the dish, and your sand timers. Once you've grabbed the card and prepared it, you can then cook it. And while that's cooking, you can get all your dice back. You don't have to keep them to the side or on the card. You get them right back, roll again, setting dice aside, and say you rolled 4 fives. You can put that here and cook it. You can think of the game board here as the hibachi grill, so when you're cooking, you have to overlap the card on the board just to keep everything centralized. And say rolled, you got 4 fours. You could put that here and then cook it too. And then when your sand timer runs out, that means your dish is cooked. You can take the sand timer off and then flip the card face down into your scoring pile. Full points. The points are on the bottom right corner of the card. Now say you are busy rolling your dice for some card out there and some other player sees that your sand timer is out. What they can do is tip your sand timer over, which burns your dish. Now what happens with that is you would get 2 less points for this card. So this card would be worth only 2 points. You put it face up in your scoring pile to keep track. And the player that burned you would get a spice token, which is worth 2 points. So very powerful. It's a 4-point swing. So you want to be keeping track of your own sand timers and other people's sand timers, if possible. And this one's out. So you would get 4 points, flip it face down in your scoring pile. Also, say that the 2-minute sand timer is about to run out and you have something still cooking. Whether you have a card that's still cooking or you've just barely grabbed a card by the end of the time, that is called undercooked. So the card, just like burn card, would be worth 2 less, and you would put it face up in your scoring pile. Now, when the round is up, each player will count up as many points as they have, plus some other things that I'll explain later. Whoever had the least amount of points of that round is quote-unquote out of the running for winning. Now, that doesn't mean that they stop playing. They keep playing all the rounds just like everyone else. And if they ever get first place in a round and they're out, they're back in to the running of winning next round. So in that case, they would be back into playing, and then whoever had the least amount of points would be out. But like I said, everyone keeps playing. So each round you either lose a player, go from 5 to 4 players, 4 to 3 players, or you keep the same number of players because someone's back in and someone else is back out. How someone wins is, say there's 2 players left. If either of them gets first place, that player wins and then the game ends. Now, a couple other things to talk about. On the cards, all the cards will have 3 or 4 dice on them. They all have each dice face, so 1 through 6, and they all have this black circle. Well, that's not true. Some do, and if that's the case, you have to cook them. If they don't have the black circle, you don't have to cook them. Their scores in the bottom right corner, and each card, all the cards have all the primary and secondary colors on them. So there's red, yellow, and blue cards, and there's also green, purple, and orange cards. There's also some special cards in there. As you can see, there's no black circle, so you don't have to cook these. But if you get this card, you can grab a 10-second sand timer from the middle of the board. So half the time of 20, so you can cook things faster. And this, if you get this, you can get an extra black dice from the board, which is in the middle. Now, along with adding up your score from your pile for a round, there's also objectives that you can try to work towards. There'll be 1 objective per round. And burned and undercooked cards count to that too. Examples of that would be most colors, most numbers, most of any color, most of any number. So if you have the most of any number, say you have 4 ones and that's the most, you would get 6 points. If someone tied with you and they had 4 twos, you'd both get 6 points. Most of any color, if you have the most reds or most amount of any color, you would get 6 points. Most numbers, since there's only 6, if you got all 6 numbers, you would get 6 points. If you had the most with 5, you would get 6 points. And then most colors, same with numbers. If you had all the colors, guaranteed 6 points. But it may be the case that someone else gets 6 points if they had 6 as well. And if 5 or 4 was the most, you would get 6 points. There's also something I added called presentation. Now, just like Chopped, I wanted to simulate the rush to finish with just a couple seconds left, because presentation is important as well. So if you're able to align your score pile and your components like this by the end of the round, you would get 6 points. So it's really worth it. You would have to put all your 20-second sand timers overlapping the black circle. You would have to stack all of your dice, including maybe extra dice you got, over the dice symbols, and you put your spice tokens that you might have gotten up there as well. So that's like the general run through of the rules. The fun is the hecticness. Since it's 2 minutes, like if it were any longer, your brain might explode. There's just a little bit too much to keep track of. And that sort of adds that giddiness and like, oh crap, that you might be tipping your own sand timers over or losing your dice. But you could also start very simple. You could not pay attention to anyone else and just look at 1 or 2 piles and roll for them. Keep track of only your sand timers a lot. Or once you're comfortable with that, you'll start lifting your head up more, looking at other people's sand timers, what cards they're going for, what cards are actually out here. And another fun aspect is there's heavy player interaction. There's you're keeping track of other people's sand timers, so if they don't, they may get burned. And say you were rolling for 2s, and you rolled 4 2s, and right when you're about to grab the card, someone grabs it before you because they rolled 4 2s. There's a lot of gotchas, like, oh crap, like I have to re-roll my dice now. There's no other 2s, or like, oh crap, you burned me. That might have been the difference between me winning and you winning. So yeah, the really quick game, really fun, great table presence, and yeah, that's my game burned.